Very warm welcome to you, and it is bright and sunny, and as you can see from the trees, thank heaven, not too breezy. We're at the base of Mont Ventoux, which, if you're a cycling fan, you will well know is a major part of the Tour de France on a regular basis. It is the thinning out tree lines that we are achieving right now. And as you can see, we've got 4 escapees. They've been out there for quite some time. Kind of a mixed ability group, these 4. We've got Arietta at the front here. 4th in the Tour de France, stage 15, kind of a flattish one last year. He's joined by Euskaltel rider Perez. They can always climb, of course. Done some decent work in the Giros of the past. I think he was 2nd on stage 6 last year, not the Giro that's just finished. Willems of Liquigas as well. He won the Dauphiné race, but of course, as that suggests, flat as Dauphiné, as we have already commented. Not as lumpy as today, that's for sure. Kern and Cofidis, Kern from Cofidis, I should say, podiums in the Giro and the Vuelta. So those 4 have kind of been out there and having a good go. They've been out there for a good while, though, and I have to tell you that the gap is starting to be drawn in. And with 20.1 kilometres only remaining, you'd think, well, surely they've got a chance with 5 or 6 minutes of a gap on the pursuers. Well, that gap, as you saw from the peloton, is absolutely charging them down at the moment, and hardly surprising because, well, they haven't got a chance, we don't think anyway, when it comes to Mont Ventoux. Very few riders do, and it's a question of looking back through the general classification and picking out just those who we think are going to have a go today. We think premier amongst them, probably, of course, Cadel Evans, the overall leader, who did a great job yesterday to come in very close to Bert Grabsch, the world time trial champion. Only 7 seconds separated them on that day, but Evans vaulting straight back up to the top of the leaderboard, 45 seconds. So maybe he's going to just be looking after his race. Contador, well, I expect him to have a go, but it's going to be Valverde, we reckon. Nibali certainly, and Rob Gesink as well from Rabobank. Time for them to shine. So watch out for the men in the orange jerseys. Looking out for Robert Gesink. We think he could well be someone to focus on today. There's no doubt about it, David. This climb is one of the great mythical climbs of the race. And as if by magic, there's the Rabobank boys up front.
Yeah, well, Gesink is a man in which some people are tipped to do well today, because we shall have a race within a race today. I think one of the riders, because we've got some very lumpy stuff to go on the next few stages before we finish on Sunday, and therefore the climbers, because we're finishing at the top of this infamous, not famous, infamous climb, I think they're going to try and do something. So the race within a race here, they're going to be trying to sort out the general classification, and then the specialist climbers who are not going to get anywhere are trying to win a stage, which puts their name upon the list of people who've come up this climb. At the moment, just look at this, Carl. I've been over this climb so many times in the past. Nice green, it looks jolly nice, but when we get around the corner, we go up toward the finish, it is absolutely a cauldron. The rocks out there, the sun beats down on it, and of all the books and stories being written about the Ventoux, I don't know another climb in cycling in the world that has this reputation. Destroying reputations, building up riders' reputations, whatever it is, as they come past all the vineyards back here. Eric Carato, a very great rider, by he's got a vineyard not far from here. I've been to his place with Sean Kelly. Very, very nice indeed. Very nice part of the world. But my goodness, what lies ahead. Hang on to your hats. This is going to be a cracking day.
Certainly is. It starts to look more like a moonscape as we leave the tree line and get into the rocks of the mountain. We're going to take ourselves a short commercial break, and we'll be back as the action starts to warm up upwards. Welcome back. The gap around about 4 minutes 28. There's Cadel Evans. He is in the main chasing bunch, you'll be pleased to know. It's being dragged along at the moment by Rabobank. We think they're working for Rob Gesink, but Juan Manuel Garate, the Spaniard, he's also more than capable. He won a stage on the Giro, of course. He can climb, so maybe an outside choice today, Garate, but he will have to work for Gesink, who is in 15th place in the rankings, 2 minutes minutes and 38 down. Oh, dearie me, a little bump and bruise there. That's Contador, and one of the AG2R riders, just one of his teammates, the Astana teammates, I beg your pardon, just came by. They almost got into contact. Well, I think they did actually mesh elbows. It's not what you do to the man who's wearing green. Clement leading the points jerseys, of course, but Contador has got it on his back courtesy of being second, because Clement is wearing yellow today.
I'm interested to see him there in green because it doesn't fit him. Normally the green jersey, when they make it, goes to a sprinter guy, and when I see it, it looks like it's sort of willowing in the wind, because it doesn't seem to fit as close as jerseys normally do, because I never expected, or I don't expect it, they would have a mountain climber wearing the sprint jersey.
He's only a little lad, isn't he? He looks like he's riding his brother's bike here. You'll know exactly what we mean. Yeah, he really is a whippet of a guy, and expect him to have a feature today. We've been picking out a few others that may well have something to say today. Valverde, most definitely, is 154 down. I think this is his day, David. It's certainly his last chance to shine, I think, this year.
Uwe, it says on the screen. I don't know if you're watching, but this
Valverde, please.
Valverde. No. The sign came on Uwe. It actually shows that it's up. We don't have the snow. We've been up there in the past, in the early part of the year. It can be rather nasty indeed. Valverde, well, I don't think I know won it last year, but he should be better placed than he is now at the moment. And I've got the suspicion that this climb might bust as far as he's concerned, and so I don't think he is going to be in with a shot. I don't know what's gone wrong with him. He's not going to ride the Tour de France. He's maybe got the sulks or what have you. He should have come in to show what form he's in. But yes, he wants to say, I'm sorry I've not been selected, I'll do it. I think he should have done better yesterday. But and therefore one or two other guys are going to have a go. The thing is also, are his team going to help him? Because the wind is all over the place here, particularly when you get up towards the top. If they feel he's got the sulks, they might say, well, why should we work our guts off when other teams are out there looking for the stage victory today? Give them 2 or 3 days to get over it and maybe go for a stage later. I may get it terribly wrong towards the end, but something is not right with Valverde.
It's a warm day today. Yeah, you can see that they've unzipped their tops here, around about 25 Celsius. We are being told at on the approaches that the headwind is really starting to whip up a little bit. Well, the thing about the wind in this part of the world, Ventoux, I suppose it means all the winds if you really kind of split it up and misspelt it. But anyway, the vent is the wind, and it's the last 6 kilometers. We've got a strong headwind, so that's going to be a real sapper out there. Just looking at liquid gas as well, Vincenzo Nibali. He's got Sylvester Schmidt as well, the Pole, who had a good Giro. He can certainly climb a little bit. And well, these guys out here, at the moment it looks like a Sunday afternooner, but they're stepping up to it here. And look at that, Contador, of course, also just bedding in amongst his teammates here. I think we might have something a little bit special from him today.
Yeah, this suits him, by the way, this climb, by the way. We're going in and we're picking up the route which the Tour de France is using from Bedouin up these last 10 kilometers. It comes in from different directions. In fact, it's also come from the other side of the mountain, but normally it comes from this side. And on the race this time, we are coming in, picking up the route with the Tour de France. Is going to be taken on later on this year, which must be only about 4 weeks from now. No, 5 weeks from now. My goodness, at least I won't say it's a practice day for them, but and it's going to be a lot hotter then, and it's certainly going to see a lot more people out there. But the Tour de France will come up here on the penultimate day, and as we'll see later on, I can just imagine the cars up there and the caravan and all the vehicles, the press vehicles, and everybody having to decamp and rush right. Whilst you'll be sat in Paris, won't you, young man, without having all the worry to come off the top
I'm in the dungeon. I am in the dungeon.
In my dungeons, I put you in there. Yes.
Doing the old, yes, doing the best we possibly can as far as all the statistics are concerned. There's the tree line suddenly disappearing. It's not snow up there, by the way. It is bare rock. And that's our destination today. When you do get up there, it really is like Moonbase Alpha by the time they reach it. Plenty of vineyards, as you can see in this part, the sort of light chalky side of the hills that get most of the sunshine, which dispels most of the frosts as well for them, thank heaven. So here he is. This is Contador. Currently at the moment, second behind Cadel Evans, 45 seconds adrift. If he's going to do some serious climbing, he's going to have, well, some serious opposition as well. Cadel Evans may not have the best kind of backup group around him, but he's got Matty Lloyd, don't forget, the Australian. He's also got Jurgen van der Broek, the Belgian, more than capable. They'll be kind of trying to marshal a few of those who are trying to escape just to help Cadel Evans out. These four, I think their card is marked here, David. Just going through the dappled sunshine, that'll be welcome relief. All the more important that that disappears as the tree line just ebbs away. You can see these stunted little trees here. It's not that much to do with temperature, it's more to do with the wind. The Mistral smacks the face of this mountain and literally just blows everything away.
Yeah, but also, not only that, you're quite right, but when the heat comes off the rocks up there, you have to be out there to just feel what it's like. And we've got some way to go in the actual race, Carl, and you'll all get involved with the tactics. But as it's now beginning to go up there, can I just put in a few words about my good friend Tommy Simpson, because we're going to go past his memorial on the way up, and I'll probably be full of emotion when we go past there. But in 1967 he died on this famous mountain here, and yes, they found amphetamines in his body, but he was doing nothing nobody else was doing. But he pushed himself over the limit, and that was the point with so many riders who didn't have the physical ability to climb over this big mountain over the years gone by, and he knew that was the day when he had to do something, and he rode himself into oblivion. This is an amazing climb. We've also seen Eros Polly go over here in 1994. Very good friend of mine. He's also 6'3" and a bit like myself. He's only got to go outdoors wide. Got a lovely bar restaurant in Italy, and over the top, he not only went over here, but down the other side to Carpenter. And what he knew, he went away. I think he had about a 15-17 minute lead, and he knew he worked it out what he had to do to get up the top of the climb, to stay over there when they went down the other side back into Carpentras to get the stage victory. Now these guys haven't got that amount of time. They're going to get caught. I know we finished at the top this time round, as we had when Lance Armstrong came up in inverted commas, gifted the stage up there as well to Pentani, and that caused a lot of disturbance. So you could write, say, a book about this climb here, about what goes on. But
there is one, actually.
Yes, I know. Sorry, and I'm rabbiting on, but 2:44. We've got a lot to talk about the race coming up. It's a race with so much about it. And the other charisma thing about when Eros Polly came down and won the stage and what have you, at that time I think Abdul Jafarov was in the green jersey, and he was the sprinter, and he survived over the top. And he heard the story about Tommy Simpson, and Helen Simpson, who's now married to Barry Hoban, was down at the finish. And when Abdul Jafarov, who's the world's tremendous sprinter, heard the story, he went and he had his bouquet of flowers at the end, because we finished down in Carpentras, and he took the bouquet of flowers and he found Helen Simpson, and he gave Helen his bouquet of flowers.
David Duffield's gone all choky on me. There he is. Anyway, just being dropped off the back of the escapees at the moment. Back to present day. Alan Perez of Euskaltel. He's not the veteran of this group, by the way. That's Jose Luis Arrieta at 38 years of age. He's been regular top 20s in the Welters, but flatter stages clearly suit him, and it looks like his day is done. Yeah, some fabulous names associated with this place. My favourite of all, of course, is Raymond Poulidor, ever the eternal bridesmaid, as it were, as far as the Tour itself is concerned. If you do go on to win the Dauphiné, it can actually just project you onto the Tour de France itself. It is like a mini Tour, let's not forget, and proof positive today, that's exactly what's happening. Lance Armstrong won this and went on to win the great race, the Tour de France itself, in 2003 and in 2002. Miguel Indurain did the feat in 1995. In 1981, current race director Bernard Hinault, yes, he also did that in 1979. So you can actually build up a bit of momentum here. I think that's what Cadel Evans is up to. I don't think he's going to be out of yellow today unless something very dramatic happens. So we're talking about the stage win, and we think, and certainly by the profile at the beginning here, Jurgen van der Broek working hard for Evans just to kind of look after him, but Rabobank as well. They're all working for Robert Gesink, and keeping his Gesink down in 15th place. He is, what, 2 minutes and 38 down in the overall ranking, but there are others who may well feature. We reckon Valverde, who we've also already seen wearing his big brother's jersey and riding his big brother's bike, the little fella. He's in 8th place. He's 1 minute and 54 down. Vincenzo Nibali of Liquigas. David, you were pointing him out earlier on today. He's more than capable of having a go at this one.
I think I see David Millar up there as well at the moment. There's certainly somebody out for his team, so I'm not sure that he can survive this climb here. But it's a fascinating day we got today. There's a lot of people with a lot more fish to fry. I can see the Valverde's team are hanging back at the moment, and when we have their cameras looking back down, the information we're getting in, there's no more than about, what, 40-50 riders here. They're absolutely fragmented, and we've still got, what, some 14 kilometres to go.
We have. It's Danny Martin, by the way, the little Irishman, not David Millar, who is having a crack here. A big thumbs up for David. Yeah, watch out for the Garmin.
He comes from Birmingham, you see, like me.
He's Irish enough, I think, is the expression.
His father was a very good bike racer, by the way.
Good lad. So we will take our leave just for a few moments before things really hot up here. It is hot. That headwind may well come as a relief. We'll take a break. Back in a moment. Welcome back. Liquigas have taken over double duty up at the front. Sylvester Schmidt and Vincenzo Nibali with Ivan Basso in attendance as well. Hardly surprising. And suddenly Astana it is that respond, trying to look after Abel Contador. Jesus Hernandez, the Spaniard, half a decent climber for them, just trying to control things as well. And you look further back and starting to roll just a little bit. Rabobank. Now then, as this draws to a conclusion, 13.2 kilometers, don't forget. It's around about 5 to 7%. In fact, we're well and truly at that mark right now, but the gradient starts to get nastier, and around about when it hits 9.4%, doesn't sound a whole load, that is really wearing, and that's where this blows apart there.
The big thing is here, because the trouble as far as Liquigas is concerned, they've got Ivan Basso with his reputation, his performances over the years gone by, and they've also got young Nibali, who's 11th overall at 2:12, and Ivan Basso at 3:28. Is which card do they play? And look at they're going this one, that one, the other one, and the teams behind now are deciding, do we chase him down, do we let him, because sometimes you go too early on a climb, then you blow a gasket, out the back you go, but the other teams behind don't know, and this is particularly where somebody like Cadel Evans just sits there, running his team, works it all out, looks at the legs, and it's fascinating. It's like a big game of chess on wheels.
Certainly is. Oh, look
dear.
at that. That is Willems, I think. Freddie Willems. He's a bit of an escapee, the Belgian. He's escaping, but in the wrong way, unfortunately. As a result, another one. We lost Perez a little bit earlier on, and that is Chris Kern as well of the escapees. The Perez and Willems have both blown a gasket here, and that is Jose Luis Arrieta giving it a plenty at the moment. 4 minutes and 18. Arrieta, 38 years of age. We've been looking back at some of the stuff that he's done in the past. Fourth on the 15th stage of the Tour de France in 2008 last year, but it was a flattish stage of not really that much consequence, and as a result we've got a bridger here, and he looks half decent, David.
Something says to me Liquigas, who've had a very strong team in the Giro d'Italia just recently, are prepared to frighten a few people, and I'm very fascinated by this ability that just earlier on to play two cards with Nibali there, and also Ivan Basso. Normally when you come from one big team to the other tour to the other one, you've got very tired legs, and certainly right now they begin to make other people look at each other and say, well, what do we do about this? Still 167.
167 it is. Sylvester Schmidt, the pole. Well, we said he'd had a good Giro, and out he is, having another crack here right now. Well, you never know. Nibali they've got in their team, don't forget, and Ivan Basso as well. So they've got plenty of talent, but look at it. They're going to have to rip their sinews apart right now, and they're spread wide across the road here, David, and they're starting to roll here. You can see it's getting tough.
It is, by the way. So we've got lots of teams here prepared to play the cards early on. And the big thing is what's going to happen then to Cadel Evans' team, because they're short of a couple of guys, aren't they? Eric's dropped out earlier, and Schelling's dropped as well. Silence-Lotto. I was speaking to the team manager last night, and he said to me that in the time trial, that in fact in the early part of the wind affected him. He lost a lot of time. You remember me? Well, he was 9th on that first time check as it was. Then once he turned around, they got him on a smaller gear over the climb, and then he came back at it. So undoubtedly that Carroll's in with the shout, by the way, and we'll have to see how he performs today. But certainly as far as the team are concerned, Andre Godin says he could do a good day today. He's not worried about what's going on. He said that the team are going to try and control it to the foot of the climb and then start to get stuck in from here onwards.
82R, we thought Nico Roche might have a little bit of a crack today. Hubert Dupont, probably one of the French hopefuls as well, so watch out for them. Astana just starting to muscle themselves ever so slightly, and Contador, well, he's being kept dragged up the front here. I suspect he may well have something left in the tanks. He's starting to, well, I thought that I should say, he's just starting to rock a little bit at the moment, but then again, he's in good company. Everybody driving it up right now, and it's, well, as you can see, the gradients really are starting to increase, and Cofidis, well, once again, David, you were calling them. They've got Bingen Fernandez, the Spaniard, Amiel Moinard of France. Maybe he's going to be bringing some kind of joy to the French, but I suspect David Moncoutier is their best hope today.
Yeah, Moncoutier has got quite a tradition. He only wins 1 or 2 races a year, but they're quite important races that he gets, by the way, and they're quite hilly ones as well. He's won a stage in the Tour of Spain in his time gone by. He was had a stage in the stage 12 of the Tour de France, which is a lumpy one, and stage 11 on the Tour, which is a lumpy one again. So he waits and waits and waits, keeps his powder dry, and comes up and does well. In fact, he's been 12, I think it's his 13th year with Cofidis, so he's been a long time now, and they keep him because he could be in with a shout to win events that matter every so often.
Well, Francois Schmidt, do forgive me there. Sylvester Schmidt has actually gone up. There's Ivan Basso trying to bridge him as well. Now, Schmidt has actually closed the gap on the escapees to around about 2 minutes as we speak. Sorry we're not getting those graphics for you rolling on the screen, but we have got men down and rolling with them. That is 167 Sylvester Schmidt. Nibali and Basso, basically the guys he's trying to help out here. But look at this. Further down the line, it looks like this, and it's well, cat and mouse time, you might well say, David, but you know what, everyone seems to be locked into position at the moment. It's grit your teeth time, certainly.
Carlton, I did not expect it to be so decimated at this stage with some 10Ks to go. You and I were talking about the climb, about how many people could be at the bottom of the climb, looking at the number of people still intact by the time we got there before we came on air, and look at the number of riders in there. I know this is a showdown time for the Tour de France, but I thought they'd wait until they got maybe a bit further up the climb, up onto the rocky stuff, but they started now to really destroy ride. They're going out the back, and this is going to be a cracking day today.
Well, Arrieta and Kern are holding on for grim death here. Sylvester Schmidt leading that group. He's been joined by 3 other riders here, but it really is starting to string out, and this is going to be a very, very laboured finish, you can bet. Sylvester Schmidt making that jump, but he has been caught by a couple of followers, and look at that, as if the guru up the mountain has got his parishioners joining him here through the dappled light of the remaining trees as we head through to the windy section, and it is absolutely blown apart here. There's going to be some big eating into the overall classification here. You've got to say, where's Cadel Evans? That's a big ask, and for the time being, look how slowly they're going, and an uphill finish, David. This could prove to be crucial. And
this is a place where once again drinks, you have to do it now inside those last 10 kilometres. Here they are on the side of the road, because we go out into those barren rocks up there, and I think the whole race is now boiling down. They can't take drinks after the 10 kilometres to go, and they're split. In fact, I think even Basso was up there doing a row. It's every man for himself. What a cracking day.
Is that Hansen having a roll here? Up front, it's now 1 minute and 25 between Arrieta, Kern, and the chasing bunch led by Sylvester Schmidt, and the rest of them here. Get out of the way, they're screaming here. The bike's just trying to maintain their balance because it's so slow up here. If you're on a camera bike, you're wobbling all over the place. There is Contador. Evans, where is he? Rolling?
I think he's running for a look.
There he is.
Those two are little Baton Boy wonder. They're locked together.
So this is where the main contenders for the GC are locked together right now. I saw Evans just rolling behind one of the camera bikes, just lost sight of him momentarily, but he's well and truly within this bunch. He's capable of doing something special, but it's so many big climbs, David, remaining on this Dauphiné Liberé before we get to the end. This is just the first of the big days, isn't it?
It is, but also I was interested to see how those two riders, they're sort of sitting in there together. Valverde was also alongside them. These two guys out there, they're out. They've been left to fry. The race is really going behind. Nice that the camera's going to particularly in its Cofidis. I mean, the French love to pick up French riders for the French publicity, and another Cofidis rider's going off. Is that Montcuti? I don't know, going for it as well right now. So the publicity these guys want to get, but the race is happening further back. But to me, the way in which Basso is riding at the moment, I just find it fascinating.
Well, Basso, incidentally, is 25 seconds away from Sylvester Schmidt, who's actually gone up the road. So I don't know whether Sylvester Schmidt is going to try and control it for him. He had a very good Giro, as we already mentioned, and I just wonder whether he's going to try and help Basso out. Just checking further down the GC as well, and well, Basso's in 32nd position, 3 minutes and 30. You know what? They might just let Sylvester Schmidt off the leash here and say, go on, have a crack.
No. The thing to do is look at the faces. They're looking at each other now. When the race gets to this particular point, and when they start to come out, once they get onto that rocky bit further down the road, the thing is, yes, there's one or two guys in there who might be in the wrong place at the wrong time, but then you start to look at the face of the riders and the positions on the bike, how they're holding the handlebars, and look how the acceleration is coming on now, testing somebody out. Are they going to, like the Rabobank, want to do something to Devil? This is Group Evans, 2:11 down, but forget the two guys down the road. That doesn't really matter. Here, look, with Rabobank riders, they're having a go right now, and I think that Evans a bit is on his own. I don't think he's got a teammate with him at all. I'm not sure whether Contador's got many people with him. These are the internal attempts going on, and if you've got another two guys with you, like they've got here from Rabobank, to try and make things more, and in fact, they split it again.
They have, and once again, Cadel Evans and his Silence-Lotto boys, they just doesn't have the backup, and you wonder, you start to worry about the Tour de France itself. It's part of the reason why he really struggles is he just doesn't have the protection, particularly when it comes to the lumpy stuff. We're at that right now. Don't forget, we'll be doing exactly this route, not the entire route, but certainly the finale here during the Tour de France itself. So watch Evans and see how he rolls, because he suffered in the mountains last time by. Incidentally, stage 6 tomorrow, we've once again got an Or class and HC climb, Col d'Izoire. That's something to look forward to as we head towards Briançon, and then we're heading for Saint-François-Longchamp, and that is once again category 1 finish. But in the meantime, the Col de Galibier as well, through the tunnel. Nightmare stuff as we go from Briançon. It's on stage 7, and it just gets higher and higher and higher, it seems, David. More and more tests to come. If you burn yourself out today, you might leave yourself short for the remainder, the run in here.
Yes, I'm fascinated, by the way, for you doing that. Looking at how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there's 10 riders in this group, and they represent at least 8 or 9 different teams. So
it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say almost every man for himself, right?
Except for Rabobank.
No, even one of the guys, while you were reading out what's happening, has just drifted back as well. They've suddenly dropped back only to one. I think Gessling on the front at the moment. The other guy, in fact, yes, you're right, there are 2 left now at the moment. But this is what I like about bike racing. Over a climb like this one, I'm not saying climbers only are the people that win bike races, because we get a nice mix across all the years. But conversely, when the chips are down, I mean, this is, and I could never climb to save my soul, but I can understand what these guys are doing out right now. It isn't going to get up there, it's the psychology of the thing.
Well, you know what, heading from Derbyshire is about the only thing I can do is climb. You either went uphill or down dale. There was no choice. Flatlands, we didn't know any of it. That's where I hail from, and I've kind of got a bit of sympathy for climbing riders, climbing specialists. I think this is really the meat of it all, but then again, you get the old...
Talking about meat, you like the downhill bit at the moment.
That may well change. We're working on it. Arietta and Kern. 1 minute and 20 it is, the gap now, that that leading group that you just seen with the two Rabobank riders, and of course Cadel Evans with the leader's jersey, and Alberto Contador as well. 1 minute 40 or 14, I'm just misheard there from race control, but nonetheless that gap is starting to close. But you know what, with 10 kilometers to go, that can spur a rider on. These two having a chat with each other, they don't look like they're pushing that hard.
No, they've had their moment of glory. They've set the scene. They lived in hope, but there's no hope really, because this is the stage today when it sets the scene what's going to happen for the next few days, and the top guys are going to come through. We came to today's stage with 5 minutes covering the first 74 riders on general classification. It needed to be sorted out, and Rabobank now are doing all they can to knock 7 bells out of everybody else. Look at the determined left-hand side of Cadel Evans. You say about doing it on his own. Over the years, I've met this guy, I've spent time with him as well, and something. He's a very quiet guy, by the way. When you talk to him, his ability to ride the bike, particularly when things get tough, it's quite amazing. I mean, when he first took that leader's jersey in the Tour of Spain some years ago, I was so pleased for him. He just did it almost on his own, and always after that, he always seems to do that. And I'm not surprised, even with his team he's got now. In fact, most of the riders we're seeing here are on their own anyway, but he's very good at doing things on his own. He's a good time trials, he can climb well, he's got the courage to last the 3 weeks, and he's getting on towards the end of his career, because he's no young lad. I think somehow this could be his year. I know I put my money on the Tour de France on somebody else, but I think somehow I might get it wrong. He could do it this year.
I do hope so, I have to say. A nicer guy you couldn't hope to meet. The amazing thing about cyclists is they are so diverse in their personalities, and Cadel Evans is a real quiet man, but very determined. A couple of Euskaltel guys together, a couple of Astana guys together, a couple of Rabobank guys together. There are braces of riders in this group, don't forget. Contador, of course, is wearing green, but he has got a teammate, an Astana teammate with him. Got a couple of Rabobank riders as well, so there is backup for some, but not for Cadel Evans at the moment. This is Arietta and Kern, part of a group of 4 riders who've been out there for an awful long time. 2 have bitten the dust, Freddie Villens and Alan Perez. Credit to them nonetheless. And here we are, we've got one of the Euskadi guys going to have a go, and I think it is, and in fact it's
Arietta.
It is having a look. See. Caisse having a look as well. Valverde, well, you never count him out, and having a go. David, you picked him out earlier on today as somebody that may well be in with a shout today. He's 8th in the overall ranking, 1 minute and 54 down, and, well, he's decided to hell with it. I'm just going to have to do this on my own.
This is what I said earlier on, that his position on general classification, immediately moved the chance.
Just
straight to the front. They're in the front,
and Kern, they'll try and stay with him just for a few moments' time, but this looks like Valverde's push now.
But he's being chased down. It's that last back come out to him, because he has to go with a couple of other riders who are prepared to work with him. He's got the courage, he's got the ambition as Valverde. He won the race last year. Look at the expression on his face. He's not been selected to the Tour de France for various reasons. The organisation has said we don't want him, and at the moment he's going to show that they've got it wrong, and he's come here today, I think, to prove himself. And either he does it today or he doesn't. So all you good people back at home, you may be recording and watching this evening, just watch this, because look at the gap that he's opened up.
Well, we did think that maybe it was a day for glory for him. He won't be part of the Tour de France, and that'll be a big rider missing, you've got to say, for various reasons, which we won't draw out right now. But Valverde is on the attack now, and look at that. The group is kind of static at the moment. Maybe they're hoping he's going to burn himself out, but with a minute gap, and somebody like Valverde, who wears the #1 with pride here, and he's just left these boys behind.
Yep, and they're taking out all the following car, because they know once they get round here and into the hard rocks ahead of them, that they might as well clear the way out and let the riders see what's going on ahead of them. And these guys, interestingly, BH, that's Bistega Jimenez, by the way. That's a Spanish bicycle manufacturing company from the Basque Country up in the north, and they've been long there for many years. It means Bistegi Brothers, for those who wish to know. I've been to their factory many times in the past. Nice sort of people. I'm sure they're happy to get a rider riding their bikes out there right now. But here, Castapamas again is a Spanish registered company, but I think they're owned by a French bank indirectly.
Well, Basso, Schmidt and Zubeldia have all regrouped here. Whether they'll be trying to launch something back at Alejandro Valverde. We will see. Thought we'd see a bit more of Oscar Pereiro as well, but Valverde, maybe he was his teammate that was just back there helping him out.
He's doing enormous damage, though. Look at this.
Well, he is. He's doing damage to himself as well, one would have thought.
I'm not sure.
For the remainder of this Dauphiné Liberé. 48 seconds is the gap now. They started to close down. They have responded. They have responded behind him. It's a long, long way out to go, David, with 9 kilometres. Doesn't sound like that unusual, you might say, but on a climb like this, he'd better be sure of himself.
Well, it's 5 miles in English money, those people back at home watching what's going on here. And yes, it's up and up and up and up. And yes, we're riding this far. And yes, it can be very hot. It's not as hot as it can be in the Tour de France later on during the year. But conversely, he's taken a chance here. If the guys behind him are prepared to start to work, then they can pull him back. But if he feels he's got the courage and the ambition and the ability to stay out there, then he's going to have a go. But I'm just surprised he's gone this far, because it's normally around about, well, 3 kilometres to go from the top when you start to go. It's a bit far out, and at the moment nobody's chasing him down. Now he'll be getting the information from his team car to tell him what the gaps are and what's going on with the rest of the race. So somehow I think that that Valverde wants to prove something today. I'm not quite sure whether he wants to race a road, because we've got some big climbs yet to come when we look at what's going to happen in the next couple of days, or whether he just wants to try and take the overall jersey. But he's got a lot to do on the general classification.
Well, Valverde, of course, was got a podium finish on the opening very short time trial. Kind of set his stall out here in the Dauphiné. 3rd place there, but he has been very, very busy. 4th on the Tour of Romandy, and stage wins as well throughout this season. Catalunya on stage 3 took that. The Primavera, of course, a great way to set out your stall at the beginning of the season on the 12th of April. Did a great job there. He's been busy. He's also been maligned, some say unfairly, but he won't be taking part in the Tour de France. 1 minute and 54 now is the gap, so he started to chug. It did close down as they were on a faster section. Now, just to explain that, it does get very lumpy, despite the fact it is just one solitary mountain. The gradient changes again and again and again, and as a result, he has to well, recharge himself, let's put it that way, and that's just precisely what he's doing.
He is coming up now to those guys up in front. The gap is coming down. Interesting enough, we had a shot while you were talking then, Carlton, of the riders sitting up there having a drink and this, that and the other. They seem much more relaxed about it and not that full of ambition to catch him back. I was interested to see David Millar, by the way, sitting up and still with that group at the moment. I know his mother Avril is watching, by the way. She's off work at the moment for the next 10 or 12 days. She's had a problem, tendon problem or something. Whatever, she's not been able to go to work, so she's been watching what's going on. So she's watching. I'm sure she, like the rest of the Brits, were interested to see David was still in there with this group now, but suddenly exploded.
It has. It's had to be honest, because Valverde's gone on, tried to make the bridge. He's pulled away from this main bunch, which is where the overall contenders are, put a decent gap between himself and they. And right now, it looks like he's going to be heading the course. Unbelievable. Robert Gesink of Rabobank. Well, we said that he would be part of it. The big, long, rangy figure. And exactly, he's responded to... oh, sure we can't hear our commentary quite here. But there it is, at the head of the course, Valverde. But you know what? He's just caught them and blitzed them.
Yes, and was he going straight through and straight past him? I don't know. I love, you know, when this is, they look back, they look at this, how should we go? They know each other's ability. They look at someone around about him. How is he doing? Is he also sort of soft tapping? Is he not going to do his share? Is he actually on the rivets, as they say? We don't have rivets, by the way. In the old days of leather saddles, you had rivets on it, by the way. If you're on the rivet, you're on the front rivet. Right now, they've got plastic saddles, and they're not at the moment on the rivet, none of them.
That was Zubeldia just starting to struggle ever so slightly, and just a couple of Liquigas riders as well. Further back, there is Contador wearing green today, carrying it for Cat 11, who leads the points. He also leads in GC, which is why he's wearing gold, and there he is right there. And, well, there he goes. Valverde the strength that he used to put a fantastic gap between himself and the main contenders, effectively taking GC. And look at this. Well, they've told the cars to just get out of the way. There is nowhere for them to embed themselves between the leader and the main bunch. They're still reasonably together, but there it is. And that's his overall gap at the moment in GC. And look at these chasers. He's not going to manage to get up to that, David, but to actually eat into that kind of gap overall. Valverde 1 minute and 54 in the GC, don't forget, but nonetheless he has dropped those who are ahead of him in GC. They're just starting to respond here. Evans is being dragged along here.
Yeah, as I said to you earlier, I'm not sure whether he wants to do any more than today. If he can win the stage and begin to move up in general classification, we've got some very lumpy stuff, as you know, for the next few days. That could be the main thing. But it's also, I think, he wants to show that he's back still and he has some ambition to do something, and they've got to watch him. And what I'm interested here, I think, is Gessling still doing a lot of work on the front, and the rest are sitting in his wheel. His rest of his teammates have dropped out of it. He's so determined to do the work, and bon courage, man, or whatever is the Dutch equivalent of that right now. But again, if you do too much, and we're not really on what I call the really hard stuff. Yes, the climb is here. Oh, hang on, here we go. They're having a chat. Are they going to say?
Well, Basso is having a word with Valverde, and I think they're just kind of agreeing to work together here. It's as simple as that. Basso had Sylvester Schmidt, don't forget, who went up the road to help him out. But really, is it going to be between Basso and Valverde? Valverde clearly wants to go for it. It's whether Basso has decided to play the game as well. And it certainly looks like he has just for now. So this is a brief alliance that could well be blown apart a little bit later on.
Well, Basso 3 minutes 28 seconds down on general classification, as at this morning. Valverde 1 minute 54 seconds down. And so very complex what's going on at the moment, isn't it?
Oh, look at this, calling for help. For goodness sake, fellas, will you come and take something off the front? Poor old Gessing says, I don't want to do it all on my own.
That's what I said.
And his elbow's going as if he's got tendinitis in it. For goodness sake, and they're just saying, no, you want it, you stick there.
That's what I said.
Poor old Gessing.
Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Everybody, I can imagine we're back there in Holland going,
come on, help me out. And they won't. So Ivan Basso it is. It just takes the head here. And in fact, it's been called, do beg your pardon, it's Schmidt that is alongside Valverde here. Do forgive us for that. So Basso, I'm just misreading my ones and my sevens. So 6.7 kilometers to go, and well, he's done a good job. We said he had a good Giro, Sylvester Schmidt, and so it's proving right now.
Basso, you know, well, he's had a good ride through the Tour of Italy, but also I'm very impressed at the moment the way in which Valverde is riding. He looks very sort of composed. He's not busting a gut, and I think somehow that Valverde could be going for this stage.
Well, they're all settling themselves down here. It's kind of breather time, and you've got to say it's starting to find a few of these guys out. Basso had gone up with Sylvester Schmidt, and well, the likes of Gessing, well, maybe they will get a little bit of help right now. This is Sylvester Schmidt. Forgive us our error a little bit earlier. Alongside him, Valverde, and it's them at the point at the moment. On a flatter section here, one of the switchback areas, but as you can see, they're getting well and truly out and into the elements.
This is where they turn that corner, Carlton. This is where it starts. There's a little bar down there. That's where the people start to come to watch the race. And as at now, this is all the riders know when they come round here, this is where the proverbial hits the fan, because that's the point. When they turn round, you can suddenly look up there, and we will later on see the climb ahead of them. That's the corner. That's where it all starts to happen.
So 6 to go as we stand, and now time for Evans to do some work. Following straight on his back wheel here, Contador just sticking with him, and poor old Gessling. Yeah, he was waving them through, trying to get some sort of help, and it just wasn't coming for him.
And you are, this is the corner, this is the place, see the people there cheering them on the way. The sun is now coming down. It's not July, but even this time of the year it's reasonably hot. And they seem to have come back together again, these riders here, looking amongst themselves. They had a bit of a dig to try and sort themselves out, but I think we're going to see a lot more of this. Certainly, as I run the programme, by the way, I thought that there'd be a bigger bunch before we got to this particular point, particularly at this stage in this race. But look in the background there, that is only a bit of what's not going to be up in front of me. Actually no green from now on in, and they're looking at each other here, and they're going to start to rip this race apart. Going to be a great day.
Well, it is, already is an absolutely fascinating trial for them. And just checking it out, Valverde and Schmidt, incidentally, have got 40 seconds on the chasers as we speak. In fact, they've extended that just a little bit to around about 48 seconds. So that is not bad at all. Well, we said that Sylvester Schmidt should be somebody you look out for. Vincenzo Nibali, also very, very good climber, but beaten today by the looks of things. Cadel Evans as well. It's going to start to come to count back here, and if they can really push on, with Evans without a teammate, he's relying on others as well here. And if you lean too heavily on a rider, as you saw with the Rabobank rider at the head of this group, Rob Gessing, he was just fed up with it, frankly, and just said, look, do some work yourself. And now he's cruising along at the back of the train. Evans also not keen to pick it up here at all. Well, they're working hard. Valverde, tremendous effort by him. A good push, David. We said he'd have a go today, and that's precisely what he's doing. And he's got a helping hand, at least just for now, in the form of Sylvester Schmidt. He just couldn't do anything for Basso or Nibali on this climb, it seems. Has just decided to do it himself, which, you know, all credit to him. Why not? 5.2 kilometres remaining here.
I'm fascinated back here what's happening with this group, because they've got their own little war going on here. The fact that Valverde's gone down the road, I'm not quite sure they seem to be too bothered about him for some obscure reason. I'm not quite sure why they're not bothered, because they have to do something about pulling him back. But look at them, they've now slowed down a bit. Perhaps they can think by accelerating, they can catch him. And let's look again.
It's a shame that camera pull that we were just doing was showing them on the switchback, kind of within sight of each other. And as the greenery goes, where the road does bend and twist, they can actually start to see those who are ahead of them. It's not that far. 46, 47 seconds is the gap at the moment, we're hearing.
Can I also, Carl, at this particular point, as Carlton say, that within about 2 kilometres we'll go past Tom Simpson's memorial. And it's a moment, occasionally, I get very quiet about this, but I'm fascinated by the race today. Always the Mont Ventoux brings out some of the best in bike racing, with man against man, man against the mountain.
Cadel Evans giving the cameraman a real quizzical look there, saying, do you mind just getting off that side of the road, because clearly that's where we want to go. Out front, Sylvester Schmidt of Poland, along with Alejandro Valverde, and there's just stepping it up, 4.7 kilometres to go, and they are, well, maintaining that gap. You've got to say the pair of them are capable actually of staying out there, David.
Yes, but there again, are they bothered with Valverde?
I just don't think the will is there to chase him down.
Yeah, 1 minute 54 seconds down. Are they that bothered? Do they think that he won't last the next few days and do anything about it? I still had the thought they want a stage victory, but they want, I think, to sort out the legs so that riders ran about them.
Now 1 minute and 10. There you have it, from the two leaders at the moment, Sylvester Schmidt and Alejandro Valverde. It's been creeping up, and you know what, it's by the pedal turn. Look at this landscape here. Well, we told you it was bleak, and there it is, scorched. Almost looks like desert dunes, sort of scrublands that you get in Namibia, that kind of thing. There is the destination. That's what they're climbing up to, the great mast and radio antenna at the top. Military aircraft signaling base.
And amazing, the problems of parking all the vehicles. On this occasion, because we're stopping at the top, they put all the vehicles down the other side of the mountain. Imagine the amount on the Tour de France that comes. There's another road up on the right-hand side where they put all the vehicles, the press and everything else. It's a very complex organisation to actually go up here and finish up here. The riders don't actually know this, by the way. They're just right up there. They're just devoted to getting up there. Now they're starting to rip each other to pieces, and they're just right up here, almost into oblivion on this climb. And roundabout is one of the greatest amphitheatres in the world.
Unbelievable. You know what? Contador here is not helping out Evans at all. He has been on his back wheel. I can't remember seeing Contador with Evans behind him. He's making Evans work for this, and I suspect the reason why Evans looks just so blown, you see his cheeks, he looks an angry man. He always has that sort of, his head kind of goes on the side when he starts to get into the real meat of the climb. But look at this, poor guy at the front wearing the leader's jersey and getting no help from Alberto Contador. I suspect that Contador possibly can't help him.
No, I don't. I think the two of them are sulking in that they've got Valverde down the road. Are they going to chase after him and neither wants the other to take place? Are they going to say, well, let him go down there and he'll move off on GC a bit because he's 154 down this morning and we'll get him back later on? I'm not quite sure. The team managers and the riders they're looking round against each other here. Are we going to do it? Do we need, with this short distance to go, try and pull him back, or do we let him just stay out there and we will all sort this out in the next few days? It's fascinating, isn't it?
3.7 kilometres to go. It certainly is, David. And I just wonder, I mean, what does a guy like Evans actually say to somebody like Contador if he does ride him home all day? At the end of the day, you know, he's got to ride his own race, but nonetheless he's not getting any help here at all, least of all from the remainders of this group. And look at that, there's the target. Now that must be refreshing. You come over this rise, it does just disappear ever so slightly, but once you can see that antenna, you know that that's the finish line, and Valverde and this man Sylvester Schmidt have got the kick.
Valverde.
Whoa, look at that, 1 minute 30 now.
Yeah, but Valverde's burying himself. You could see when his head went down then. I won't say he's exactly on the edge, because he still, look at this, he's still got a long way to go here, by the way. And they've been on their own an awful long time. And the air, by the way, when you get up here, is very thin. And all right, even if the gap coming behind.
Now then.
Yep, even if they don't catch him, they want to narrow that gap. They're on the way. This is it.
They are. It's now or never. And Cadel Evans has just about had enough. Thank heaven for him. He's got a Saxo Bank rider in the cake of Vogelsang, the Dane, mountain bike national champion. Now, let me tell you something. At the beginning of this day, I said to David, you know, Vogelsang, mountain bike champion of Denmark. And he said, it's very different to here. I said, you watch him. He may well be your man. Did I not?
You did exactly that. That's another bit I owe you.
Well, we'll see if he manages it here. He's certainly playing cat and mouse. He's kind of been within this group and just keeping himself a little bit quiet. I don't know whether it's powder dry and that kind of thing. But nobody really wants to take him on. Did you see the way Cadel Evans responded? Immediately, like a cat that suddenly lost a grip on a mouse. He said, no, you can't get away from me. And so the attempted breakaway has come to naught, just for now.
And still they let them out there with 3 kilometres. It looks like it's all about the shouting for who's going to be first and second. The thing is, I think they must bring that gap down a bit, because if Valverde begins to move on general classification, then things could get a bit worse from now on in. So it's fascinating to see what's going on. Of course, the other thing is, if they're not really busting a gut right now, further on behind them, some of the other riders lower down on GC would be closing the gap.
Two mountain bikers, former mountain bikers, together here. Cadel Evans and Jakob Vogelsang. You'd expect that. Unless you're David Duffield, of course, which is KV6.
No, I'm a great mountain biker. No, I love it. I'm just interested how many of them have gone across a mountain bike.
More and more these days, it
yes,
seems.
You're right.
And a day like this, absolutely, they can shine. Well, we'll see if Vogelsang's got something here. But with 2.9 kilometres remaining, and the gap now more than 1 minute and 10, I think we were well and truly heading for the 1.5 minute mark, and starting to chug. Look at this, moving on your saddle. You can see how much pressure they're putting on the pedals here. Just look at the way their backsides are actually wobbling fore and aft. 1 minute 37 now. My goodness,
yes.
It's getting hot out there. And the confidence rider just stretches his legs and says, you know what, I'm out of here. And why not indeed? That is Montcoutier who's having a crack here. Best hope for the French. Well, we'll see. On this day, perhaps it is.
Yeah, I got him down my list, didn't I? We're talking about him as well, but I thought he'd been blown out by now. Useful climber, by the way. The trouble is, of course, when Valverde gets at 154, there's, what, 10 seconds, Bernd? 10.6.4, is that Valverde could leapfrog Evans and take the yellow jersey and things like that. Look, what I said you didn't know. Who was coming from back? Oh, there we go.
Absolutely. Well, it's 10 riders, then it will be 10 or 11 riders, and Cadel Evans just steps it out. I think he's going to keep them honest up front. Now then, Valverde, 1 minute and 54. If he can hold on to 1 minute and 30 plus, he's right back in this event with some serious climbing still to come, and provided he hasn't left it all on this mountain, 1 minute 44, and we're about to hit the magic number of 1 minute 54. That is the deficit of Valverde on Cadel Evans. That's why Cadel Evans is starting to work this right now, because he knows he's got to. He knows what the gap is. He's being told it. It's up on the chalkboard as well. And look at that. Equally as determined, Valverde out in front of him. 2.3 kilometers remaining, and Valverde is heading for the leader's jersey if he can possibly eke that out by another 10 seconds. But Evans is on his case here. There he is, switching back. We meet up with the Australian once more. Spain versus Australia, you might say. Well, there's a Pole also in the mix here, and I have to say as well, there happens to be another Spaniard in the shape of Alberto Contador who's keeping Evans honest. What a race we've got here, as predicted. 1 minute 48 now, and the gaps continues to expand between Valverde and Evans. Unbelievable here. Valverde is out in front. He gets the bonifications as well today, David. This could be a huge bonus for him.
It does, because Nibali won't do the chasing either, because he's got a teammate down the road. So in fact, it's on his own at the moment. Valverde is certainly doing what he can do at the moment, but there seems to be the steam's gone out of that chase right now, and I think Evans is sulking almost, because he's getting no help from Contador, who's sitting on his wheel. Those two are having their own little private battle, and it's playing at the hands of the man on the left-hand side of our screen. But now it looks like Evans will begin to realize he has to close that gap a little bit.
It's the battle for the lead on your screen, split screen right now. Valverde in front, sharing that lead position with Sylvester Schmidt of Poland and Liquigas for the time being. Cadel Evans wearing the leader's jersey. 1 minute and 50 between them, and with the bonus for finishing today, if he manages to take the stage, it's going to be Valverde in the leader's jersey tomorrow, unless Evans can respond. He's getting no help at all. Contador uninterested in helping him out, and look at this further back, Fuglsang and the remainder. It's now a group of 10, and they're going to come in like a train, but going like a train, like an express train up front. Valverde doing a great job here, and with Sylvester Schmidt of Liquigas, I think the pair of them, it's going to be victory for one or the other.
I'm interested Schmidt's actually doing the work here, because he's number one in the team, particularly Nibali is back there in the main pack. Now whether he's been sent to do a bit now to make sure that Evans has to bust a gut to try and pull it back, I'm not so sure. I'd have thought that as far as they're concerned, Liquigas, they would just sit there and do next to nothing on the basis that let Valverde do all the work, because their other guy here, a third back in the chain here, I won't say he's being towed, because up a climb like this you don't get that easy tow, but there's no doubt about it that this race is getting very interesting. In fact, now the Liquigas riders backed off. Whether they've been told to back off or not, I don't know, but the gap has gone back out again to 158, and Valverde's beginning to rock right now. Somehow Evans has been looking rather calm and collected, and he's got a big bunch round about him. Either Valverde is blowing a gasket. I don't quite know why the gap is going up, because it doesn't look that important.
It's because Evans is being forced to do all the work here. They're playing a clever game behind him, and the cleverest of all, I think, is Contador. You know, he has refused to get in front of Evans and help him out in this charge up front. Contador lying second in the overall ranking, 45 seconds, don't forget, behind Evans. I think he's hoping that Evans blows a gasket in an attempt to close this down. It's 2 minutes now, this gap. I think Sylvester Schmidt might well decide to nick it on the line here. But Valverde, he'll be in gold at the end of today. And guess who's pinged off the front? It looks like Mr. Fuglsang.
Suddenly the gap has grown. It was hovering there and there, and I thought that that he was going through a bad patch, was Valverde. But no, it's grown of its own volition, because the riders behind him were doing nothing. Gessing's now having to go for it, and the two guys looking for the overall win by the time we get to finish are still looking at each other. And look how it's going. This fellow's down on general classification quite a bit. But this is going to really shuffle the pack for the lumpy days yet to come. And Gessing, again, a lot of people have been predicting for him to finish in the top 3 places by the time we finish on Sunday. Is coming across that gap right now. Nibali's got to respond now, because his teammate down the road is just going to sit on the wheels, and Valverde is still having a go to stay out there, get the victory and go for that yellow jersey.
Well, he's going to pick up both the day's win, potentially. He may well finish in second place, but the time gap between himself and Cadel Evans is surely going to be well over 2 minutes, because two very good riders and maybe supporters, Gesink and Fuglsang, have gone, and they have left Cadel Evans to fry out there. Contador's got no heart to try and bridge the gap either, and it is the last few moments here of this day. 1 kilometre to go to the summit. Unbelievable, and look at them. Well, Valverde still turning it. Evans tries to respond, and well, out of his saddle is Contador here. Evans hasn't got anything left today. He's been dragging about well, a range between 5 and 10 riders up this mountain, it seems, and I'm afraid the gap is going to be significant, certainly enough for this man Valverde to take the leader's jersey. 2 minutes and 6 seconds. Unbelievable. Valverde starting the day 1 minute and 54 adrift. He's going to pick up bonification points as well, provided of course that Gesink and Fuglsang don't spoil his party. Then Valverde is going to be in gold tomorrow. The leader's yellow jersey on the back of Cadel Evans for now, but you're watching as it is beginning to get to that point where it's handed over, unless he can really strike out here, Evans, and I think he may well save himself for the next couple of days. 2 minutes and 4.
I think looking at the way he's riding there, he's talking a bit with the fact the way the Contador's not doing anything. I think they're better climbers, by the way, than Valverde, and I think they're saying, right, the damage has been done, let's stay in contention, let's finish in second and third on GC, because we've got tomorrow to Gap Briançon, we've got the Col d'Isard to go, for instance, the one on to from Briançon to Longchamp, we've got the Col de Garbier, we've got the Col de Croix-de-Fer the next day. We've got so many big climbs yet to come that they're better climbers. They say, well, providing we can stay within a few seconds of Valverde, we might give him a bit of a thrashing in days to come. And I think also between the two, they've fallen out.
They certainly have. Contador and Evans won't be swapping Christmas card lists. You can be sure of that, but at the end of this day. And look at this weaving going on all over the place here. They're not helping out at all. I think right now they're trying to help Schmidt. I know he doesn't need any help. He's way down the rankings, but look at this. Valverde is heading for victory here. I wonder if Schmidt will actually spoil his party. We'll wait and see. Everyone else is going out for themselves now. There is Cadel Evans just trying to turn a cog and get himself up this hill here. AG2R, well, they'll be able to take something out of this day. What will Contador be able to take out this day? I suspect the knowledge that Cadel Evans has done an awful lot of work today, and it may well, oh dearie me, that was a big moment there for Schmidt, and Valverde has just left him behind. Schmidt has blown a gasket, and look at this, Valverde's heading for this. This is going to be potentially a Dauphiné winning day here. Certainly he's going to win the stage. He's going to take the leader's jersey, and this has been bravery par excellence. He had a point to prove, Alejandro Valverde, coming into this event, and he's done that right here, right now. All the blood has drained from his face here. It's been an amazing effort, a real gladiatorial effort, and the finish line, he is heading for it now, and then the clock will start to roll on all of those behind him. He's got a liquid gas. Is it Nibali just behind him, trying to chase him down? Valverde comes round the corner. What a shame it will be if he does, if this falls to bits. Schmidt's still in position. Has he found something else here? Has he found it again? Oh my goodness, we thought he'd blown out, but not a bit of it. Oh, Schmidt's going to come home to take this one. Valverde, will he be heartbroken? Oh my life! How naughty can you get, Sylvester Schmidt? We thought he'd gone. It was mind games. He hadn't blown a gasket at all. He'd actually just put something in Nibali style, but it was the pole. Sylvester Schmidt holding on for grim death there, and then all of a sudden just finds something else. A little tuna water, settles himself down. Brilliant, brilliant effort. And here comes Cadel Evans, and the clock is rolling on him now, David.
Moncoudi trying to do what he can from France as well. We've got a right mixture of nations here, and Evans looks particularly cool, calm and collected. And in fact, my mind goes back to when Pantani won the stage here and came across the line ahead of Armstrong, and they said he was gifted it, but he came exactly the same thing from behind, went across the line, looked back over his shoulder at Armstrong, and he got it. But I think on this occasion the gap was further greater. We thought, as I said, bang, he'd gone. I don't think he was being psychological. They're reeling in. The guys are out there at the bottom of the climb, and one by one now they're going to be overtaken by the pack coming in here, which is quite considerable towards the back end. It's been congealing a bit, I think, but what a great day we've had here as the whole of of the general classification will be changed quite a bit then as we get in towards the next day. But what a disappointment for Valverde. He wanted this stage today.
1 minute and 10 seconds now, the gap, as the third man crosses the line here, and here it is. This is what we're concerned about. Cadel Evans has suddenly sparked it up. He's had to here, but as that clock ticks by, the crucial time, what's qualification for second place here, David?
It's a 10, 6 and 4.
So there we are, 6 seconds added or trimmed off Valverde's time. He needs 148 has got to be the gap. If Evans is more than 148 down, and he is, there is the clock right now as Rob Gessing hits the line. Yes, Fuglsang is coming across the line now, and Evans is handing over gold here as we speak. 148 was the target time. Here comes Evans right now, so you'll find out just where he will be in the classification. He'll be second overall, but what will be his deficit? The line coming up right now as he crosses it. The clock won't stop. 2:06, so 48, that's 12 plus 6. He's going to be 18 seconds down overall on Alejandro Valverde. That was a very, very good effort by Cadel Evans at the end.
Ain't over yet.
It most certainly is not. Bravery par excellence, not only by Valverde out there. Sylvester Smith's found something. He was riding like a better climber. Mind you, he is a very, very good climber. He's underscored that today. The pole finishing today ahead of Valverde. Valverde, though, takes the general classification, and there was nothing in the end that Cadel Evans could do to stop him.
Just soak in the atmosphere, not only the climb, but the territory they've just been over. This is one of the classic climbs in any bike race in the world, and look what happened at the end.
Unbelievable. Within sight, suddenly Sylvester Smith, and I think that was an amazing piece of mind work. He actually looked like he dropped a cog. It looked like he'd missed a gear, that kind of thing. And I'm sure Valverde thought, this one is mine, and it wasn't to be. Sylvester Schmidt came along and mugged him on the line. Unbelievable. Schmidt takes it then. Valverde, given the same time here, that's how close they were. Zubeldia 1 minute and 14 down. Crucially, Cadel Evans 2 minutes and 10, which means that overall, we've already worked it out. I think it's 18 seconds is going to be the gap between Evans and Valverde. Contador still in the frame on the day, and also overall as those brave souls who've done so much good work out there come home. What a great effort it is as well, and it was by Kern, it was by Arrieta as well. Let's not forget Alan Perez and Freddie Villens, who did so much good work as well, and everybody else. They will be happy to skip along here today. Some very good climbers, David, got dropped today.
Yes, and do bear in mind, by the time we go off there, there's going to be a load of guys coming in that have to get into team buses. They go down the other side of the mountain, right the back down into Carpentras, where I think they're all been staying tonight. And look at that, they're all team bus on the left-hand side. They've all ridden up this great mountain today, and I hope the rest of you watched it, because this, as I say before, is one of the most epic climbs in the whole of cycle racing.
Well, what a day it was. Sorry if we got overexcited and had a few bumps and bruises out there, but, well, I think we got there in the end. What we do know is that Cadel Evans has handed over the leader's jersey, and here we go. That's how it finished, with Schmidt, the pole, taking it ahead of Valverde. Zubeldia, third place today. Gessing and Fuglsang gave it a good shot. So did Cadel Evans, but 2 minutes and 10 seconds down. David Moncoutier doing it for France. Best placed Frenchman in 7th place. I thought he was 8th today, but anyway, Contador. Nibali was in the frame. I thought Nibali had lit the blue touch paper, but it was Schmidt who'd suddenly found himself from nowhere. This was the moment they were talking. So, fella, what do you reckon here? Who's going to go for it? Well, let's work together, shall we? And they did, up to a point. And the point was made. Here it was. We thought, hello? Oh, my goodness. And poor old Valverde, he had a grin on his face at that point, but I tell you, I think it was probably a grimace, because Sylvester Schmidt played a terrific mind game, pretended to blow out. We think that's exactly what he did. And look at it. Thank you very much, he said. That's going to go down on his Belmaris, well and truly. It's a big one.
Going back to Pantani and Armstrong, when they came across the line a bit back, I thought it's going to be similar to that one. But the other thing that was interesting is that the way in which Nibali was soft tapping in the main group, and Schmidt from the same team was allowed to do some work up there. I thought he would just soft tap and wait for Nibali to come and close the gap. But in the end, they allowed him, let him say, well, go and have a go for the stage, and exactly what he did. But look, they're still coming in dribs and drabs, going an awful long time before they come in here.
And look at the wind blowing. That is what's blown the trees off this mountain. Thankfully, it didn't blow these boys down. Phenomenal stuff. What a beautiful sight. And there it is. Oh, my maths wasn't quite up to it. 16 seconds is the gap. And David Millar, 1 minute and 43 off the pace behind Contador. What a tremendous position for David to be in. Valverde the credit. Evans, he'll be back. Well, there it was, David. That was the run-in. That was the moment that Valverde handed the stage win over, or it was snatched from him by Sylvester Schmidt. But he's taken the leader's jersey here.
He has, and that was a great day for him. By the way, as far as Britain's concerned, there with David Millar back in fourth spot. I saw him coming across the line when we were chatting away about what a day we'd had today. And I think from David's point of view, this bodes well for the Tour de France. So I'm wearing my Union Jack underpants because I know the English version goes out across the whole of Europe. But no doubt about it, different nations taking part with a different day's racing, and my goodness, we've still got some hilly stuff yet to come. Again, this is the mini Tour de France, and we've seen some cracking racing today.
Fabulous, fabulous racing, and well, alliances formed and alliances broken. It was an exciting day. We knew it was going to be, and it's going to be more thrilling, you can bet, as they run for home. Cadel Evans has got some fighting to do. Will he get any help? You wonder in the mountains whether he has the firepower amongst his teammates to help out.
Well, tomorrow they're going over the Col d'Isard, by the way, which is another great thumping big lump with 20 kilometres to go from the finish. So we could see another reshuffling of the pack. Can this man survive? Has he blown a gasket today?
I do hope not, because I would like to see this scrap go all the way. More Spaniards having success in France. They don't like it one little bit. Is it a view of things to come? Well, Valverde won't be on the Tour de France. Cadel Evans will be, and we've still got a number of stages to come. 3 more, in fact, every single one of them tough. Today, perhaps the toughest of them all. We remain to see whether that is the case. I'm Carlton Kirby, alongside me, David Duffield. Thanks for your company. We'll see you soon.